Hi, Ryan here from A&B, and today we're going to take a look at a new brand to Australia, Superior. It is brought in by BikesOnline, and the model we're looking at today is the EXF 9019. It is a 140/160mm trail bike powered by a Bosch Performance CX motor, which sports 85 Newton meters of torque and is spec'd with a 625 watt-hour battery. Another neat thing that Superior have done is fit it with a wireless micro remote or mini remote. It is really nice and small, compact, and very easy to adjust in an ergonomic position on the left of the bar and does not interfere with the dropper post lever. All of the new Bosch smart systems are able to be connected to through the Flow app, which is Bluetooth. It enables you to check all sorts of things, adjust things via your phone. However, we find that there is ample adjustments on the top tube. You can see how much power you've got left, you can see what mode you've got it in, and combine that with the wireless remote. There's really no sense to connect it to your phone unless you love data or wanted to plot out a map. The 625 watt-hour battery as well is actually housed in a compartment in the down tube that will house up to a 750 watt-hour battery as well. So if you wanted to expand or have a second battery, you could actually get a larger range battery as well. That being said, the 625 watt-hour battery on Eco would probably get you safely 120 Ks if you're just pedaling around with not too much vert. The model up from this as well does have a larger battery, hence having the larger compartment, and it is removable just via the down tube here with the Bosch key. Taking a look at the geometry, BikesOnline will be offering this in 3 sizes, medium, large and extra large. The medium is a 465mm reach, which is not very short. That's not going to suit a lot of smaller riders. The large that we have on test here today is a true 485 reach. As always, I'm kind of in between medium and large, but I found it quite comfortable. It doesn't feel too long to ride. The extra large goes up to a 505 reach, which will suit taller riders. However, the head tube length is 120 mils across all 3 sizes. So we do see with a lot of brands that as the reach increases, the rear center of the bike or the chainstay length sometimes varies and the head tube gets taller. So, you know, a taller rider needs the handlebars in a different position and also needs more bike behind them as well. The EXF has a 446mm chainstay across all sizes and 120mm head tube across all sizes. So as riders get taller, they may find that the front of the bike just isn't quite high enough. Superior have left a very long steerer, which is good because you can play around with stem lengths, maybe some riser bars. Larger riders can play around and make it bigger. Smaller riders, however, may struggle fitting onto the 465 reach and also find that the back end is a little bit long. So some hits and misses there, some challenges potentially to set it up, but there is really good standover. So, you know, there is definitely room to maneuver those things, but it may be something to look into. You might have to change dropper post, you might have to change stem or bar to achieve the fit that you want. With the 140 and 160 travel, it is a full 29er as well. It has a medium length rear center or chainstay length at 446 mils, which is not long, it's not short, it's nice and stable, and it's right in the middle of what we're sort of seeing on a full 29er chainstay or rear center figure. The size large that we have on review is a 19-inch frame, which is a little bit of old school way of measuring it. It has a 485mm reach and a wheelbase of 1271 mils. That paired with a 64-degree head angle and a 160mm fork It steers really nicely, it's quite predictable, and it's not too flip-floppy on the tight switchback climbs. It's a very balanced bike, and you can tell by its quite upright seating position, thanks to the 77-degree seat tube angle, that it is very composed and stable at speed. The rider's weight is situated directly in the center of the bike and not hanging over the back wheel. So let's take a closer look at the EXF 9019's specs. Out back we have a RockShox Super Deluxe Select, which has been really nice. It's super plush, and it's good to see a top quality shock, maybe with a little bit less adjustment, on a bike at this price point. Out front we have the RockShox 35 TK Silver, which is a little bit undergunned for a heavier e-bike. This particular model weighs in at 25.8 kilos, and this fork, while it does have a 35mm stanchion, just lacks the support that some of its, I guess, bigger brothers do. The damper is a little bit basic, and the fork is a little bit divey under brakes. We've actually put a couple of extra tokens in the fork just to keep it sitting higher in its travel. The wheels are tubeless compatible. They have a Star J30D disc-specific rim, which can be converted to tubeless. However, the Schwalbe Knobby Nick Performance tyres are actually non-tubeless ready. As such, we have fitted Tannis armour around the tubes just to provide a little bit of extra protection so that we can run slightly lower pressure on the sharp rocky trails that we have here in Canberra and not damage the rims. The Star J30 rim is laced onto an e-bike specific Shimano hub. It has a steel free hub body, sealed bearings, and is much more robust than some of the normal mountain bike Shimano hubs, which is really nice to see that the parts on this bike are fit for an e-bike. The Shimano 4-piston disc brakes are really consistent and powerful. However, they have been spec'd with a 180mm rotor both front and rear. This is another thing that we would suggest upgrading. Maybe a 200 on the back and a 220 on front. It would mean that the bike would stop much easier. Again, a full-powered e-bike is heavier than normal, and it does need more powerful brakes with more stopping power, and a larger rotor would certainly help enable that. The bike is also equipped with Shimano's 12-speed Dior group set. It shifts really nicely under load, especially when you're powering up a climb and you do need to change gears, even down into an easier gear. It really doesn't complain that much at all, and we think it's one of Shimano's better 12-speed group sets. Superior probably could have gone to maybe a 10 or 11-speed Dior Link Glide system for added durability, and then potentially put that additional money into tubeless tyres and or a slightly beefier fork or larger rotors. But it does have a very wide range with a 10 to 51, and does mean that you will be able to climb up almost anything. The cockpit itself, Superior has routed all of the cables down through the headset. It actually hasn't been creaking. There was grease installed in this one, which is fantastic. However, it will make changing out bearings, if and when they do wear or creak, a little bit more difficult and costly. As everything runs down and through the headset spaces and through the bearing itself. The handlebar as well is quite flat at 15 mils rise. You can see there's a lot of spaces under the stem itself, so there is a lot of room for adjustment, but then perched on top of that is a very flat and straight bar. If this was our bike, we might maybe lower this slightly so that the reach is extended back to its true figure at 485, and maybe a pair of riser bars on there. Might just have a little bit more sweep and be a little bit more comfortable. Other than that, it's a very well thought out suspension platform. All the hardware has been flawless. There's been no creaking, no bolts come loose, and we've been very happy. So how does the EXF 9019 handle out on the trails? Thanks to its Bosch motor, it's an absolute beast. It climbs really well. The Bosch Performance CX motor is honestly one of my favorites. It is very intuitive. I really like riding tech climbs with lots of features, so being able to sort of pause, ratchet, and then get up and over a feature. You know, it cuts out and sustains power very, very intuitively, and you don't really have to think about it too much. Some e-bike motors cut out and basically stall, and it's impossible to get them going again, whereas the Performance CX really just winds off and back on really nicely and enables you to get up and over features very well. The 85 Newton meters is huge as well. It's an absolute tractor, and thanks to the 29-inch rear wheel and the sort of medium length chainstay, which is 446 mils, it stays really, really composed and just tractors up stuff. With the central seating position, it also jumps really nicely. It's a very familiar feeling bike, and takeoffs and landings are really quite composed. Weight's right in the middle, and it's very balanced. The one thing that does sort of let down this model's, I guess, jumping prowess is the 35 TK silver fork. Even after adding a couple of extra tokens and additional pressure, it is quite divey. We don't feel the fork complements the composure of the suspension layout and the Super Deluxe rear shock. You know, if there was, say, a Yari or maybe a new Silo or something on there, it would really transform this bike and make it far more capable. Again, when the riding gets rough or jumpy or just really rocky, there was quite a lot of noise from the battery cover. There's no cable rattle. The rest of the bike is really quite quiet, but we did find the battery cover was extremely rattly and sort of amplified anything hitting it or trail noise. We did also lose the battery cover twice. The latch that holds it, which we will show you later, is quite flimsy and has like a really light little spring and a tiny little keyway that just is not adequate to hold a battery cover in place. As such, we've padded it out with bubble wrap and some rubber mastic tape to sort of bulk it up and stop it from rattling, and it's transformed the ride. So hopefully with a little bit of time, Superior can sort of rectify that latch system and make it a really quiet ride. So who would the EXF 9019 work well for? I think it'd be a really good all-rounder. With 140/160 travel, it's a really nice balanced trail bike, and with a few little changes such as tubeless tyres and maybe a different battery cover, I think this would be a really, really good bike. It's on par with a lot of other models. This particular model is up on BikesOnline for $7,999, which does represent really good value. If for some reason it goes on sale, it would leave a little bit of extra money in the bank to put some tubeless tyres on there, maybe a riser bar, and really set it up to suit the individual rider. Thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and head over to the A&B website for more reviews on e-bikes and analog bikes such as this.